So this is the conjunction list, and on here you will see the three different types of conjunctions that we've been talking about: the subordinating, the coordinating, and the conjunctive adverbs. And I just want to call your attention to how this works. This might be a handy handout for you to print off until you get used to using these words in the writing of your sentences. And as I mentioned in the other presentation, if you can figure out how to write sentences correctly, you will solve about 85% of your comma errors. I would say that the good majority of the comma errors come because people are putting them in the wrong place because of conjunctions. And so just a couple of things. What I've done here is I've put the rule, and I've given the rule to you in a couple of different ways. So if you're very kind of left brain, very logical, what this rule says is you insert a subordinating conjunction with a sentence, place a comma, and then another sentence, and you've then successfully written a complex sentence using a subordinating conjunction. Another way of saying that is we have a dependent clause followed by a comma and then an independent clause. The example here, I use the subordinating conjunction whenever. I go to the mall is your sentence, or this whole thing together is your dependent clause. Can't stand by itself unless I have an independent clause or a sentence. I can't resist buying something. This is if you use a subordinating conjunction at the beginning of a sentence. If you use a subordinating conjunction in the middle, notice there is no comma, so I start with any old sentence, put a subordinating conjunction in the middle, and a sentence to follow, or I have independent clause, dependent clause. Now, anytime I start with a subordinating conjunction, that makes that the dependent clause. So the same sentence backwards or in a different order, I can't resist buying something whenever I go to the mall. Independent, dependent. The list of words here are all of your subordinating conjunctions. You do not have to commit those to memory, but just understand that they are subordinating conjunctions. The more you use those, the more likely it is that you will remember. You do not have to create your own sentences, but it might not be bad practice. For the coordinating conjunctions, those are called the fanboys. Those are for and nor, but, or, yet, and so. The way those work, I have a sentence followed by a comma, a fanboy, and then another sentence. And so it's sentence, comma, fanboy, followed by another sentence. Maybe your own example would be, I enjoy running, but I do not do it as often as I should. So I have sentence, comma, conjunction, followed by another sentence. The last type are conjunctive adverbs, and these aren't used a ton, but they are kind of those, I don't know, $1,000,000 words, I guess, because they sound pretty fancy when you use those. So here's the rule. I use a sentence or an independent clause, followed by a semicolon, conjunctive adverb, a comma, followed by another sentence. So I'm taking two sentences and sandwiching them, or sandwiching a conjunctive adverb in between. So I enjoy running, semicolon. Consequently, I will run a half marathon in the fall. So it shows a relationship, which you'll find all of these conjunctive adverbs really do provide a relationship between two sentences. They're transitions, and they also help to give you different types of sentences. So that's kind of the rundown of the handout. It might not be a bad one for you to print and to have handy as you are writing so that you can follow those rules and create great sentences.